Have you ever wondered why sometimes, no matter how much love, effort, or patience you put into a relationship, your partner seems to drift further away? Or why, even when you're desperately trying to hold on, he ends up with someone else, leaving you in the shadows of frustration, doubt, and heartbreak? And perhaps the most puzzling of all, why even in the midst of heartache, there's an invisible force, something deeper, that makes you want to turn the tide, to change the game, and to make him want you again in a way that defies logic. If any of this resonates with you, know you are not alone. And I want to tell you something crucial from the start. There's a powerful answer, the key hidden within the psychology of one of the greatest thinkers of the 20th century, Carl Jung. An answer that explains why certain behaviors, emotions, and internal shifts can actually make a man desire to come back, even if he's with someone new, even if everything seems lost. Before diving deeper, I want you to do something. Subscribe to this channel, hit the like button, and share this video with those who need to hear this message right now. Because what I'm about to reveal could completely transform your understanding of love, self-awareness, and the hidden power of the human psyche. Now, let's think about this. Why do some women, with subtle internal and emotional shifts, manage to make their ex or current partner feel an irresistible pull, something that makes him long for what he lost? What is the secret behind a transformation that isn't based on tricks or superficial tactics, but rooted deeply in the articulation of the soul, something Jung himself explored through concepts like archetypes, shadow work, and individuation? Picture this. A woman who, faced with disappointment or heartbreak, chooses not to panic or react impulsively. Instead, she adopts a stance of silence, inner growth, and self-repair. And in this process, she activates internal forces so powerful that her ex, even if with someone new, begins to feel an undeniable absence, a craving that only her transformation can awaken. This woman, by consciously evolving inside, begins to generate an energy that only deep psychology and Jungian insights can explain. And it all starts in the psyche, with the recognition of her own shadow, hidden wounds, unspoken fears, repressed desires, which influence every gesture, emotional response, and decision. When we refuse to confront these shadow aspects, we remain trapped in cycles of dependency and self-sabotage. When we dare to face them, something extraordinary happens. A new force emerges, an energy so compelling that it begins to influence everyone around us. So, what is the real reason behind this cycle of pain, longing, and repetitive patterns? Why do some women seem to unknowingly keep the cycle alive by seeking validation, desperately trying to fix things through words or actions, even when their internal world is in chaos? The answer lies in the concept of self-knowledge, the awakening of the inner archetypes, the accepting and integrating of shadow elements that Jung described as essential for true transformation. The secret is this. The process of real change in relationships begins when you turn inward. When you learn to understand your deepest fears and desires, the parts of you that judge, suppress, or deny. Only by understanding these unconscious forces can you activate a different energy, one that creates space for genuine attraction and longing in the other. Because no external strategy will work if your inner landscape remains unexamined and unresolved. Do you see? The path to making your partner feel your absence, your independence, your inner strength is rooted in profound self-awareness. You don't need to chase or beg. You need to become someone who embodies emotional wholeness, a concept Jung called individuation. When you do that, your energy shifts from a place of neediness to one of self-container and mature confidence. And that shift is what begins to reprogram the unconscious mind of your partner. Imagine this. A woman who, instead of reacting to his distancing with desperation, chooses silence and self-focus. She stops trying to explain herself, justify, or chase. In doing so, she activates a psychic field of power, an energy that subtly but undeniably begins to influence him. Because, according to Jungian psychology, the unconscious responds to what is whole and integrated. When you step into your true self, you generate an aura of completeness, and people, especially men, are naturally attracted to that authenticity. Here's the good news. This isn't a manipulation trick, nor a superficial game. It's a deep act of self-investment. When you become aware of your own shadow, your insecurities, fears, and unmet needs, and work to integrate those aspects, your external reality begins to shift accordingly. It's like transforming the internal landscape that governs your relationships. And this process doesn't happen overnight, but it's the most authentic path to regaining control over your emotional life. Now, you might be thinking, but how can I do this? How can I make him feel my absence, my strength, my independence? That's exactly what we're about to explore. Because, in Jungian psychology, the ultimate secret is that true power comes from within, and from the courage to face who you really are. The real game changer is understanding that the relationship dynamic is a reflection of your inner world. By discovering, accepting, and healing your own unconscious patterns, you activate forces so profound that they influence his subconscious mind, making him feel, almost involuntarily, that something precious is slipping away, and that he must act to regain it. So stay with me, because what I'll share next is a path, not a trick or a superficial tactic, but a real internal shift that has the potential to make him beg you to come back, even if he appears to be with someone else. This isn't wishful thinking or magic. It's grounded in the deep insights of Carl Jung, applied to love and emotional power. If you're ready to change the game and understand the invisible forces that determine the future of your relationship, keep listening. Because what I'm about to reveal is the key to activating your inner strength in a way that no external effort can match. And remember, your journey begins with self-knowledge. The more you understand your own hidden depths, the more you gain the power to rewrite your love story. Now that you understand the fundamental importance of self-awareness and inner transformation, let's move deeper into the heart of what truly causes this magnetic shift. The silent, powerful strategies rooted in Jungian psychology that make a man feel your absence and, paradoxically, crave your return. The first secret is the art of strategic silence. Think about the most charismatic, magnetic people you've ever met. They are often those who speak less and listen more. They embody a calm that is not passive, but profoundly active. Carl Jung would call this the power of the unconscious, a silent force that commands attention without shouting or begging you. See, most women, when they're hurt or desperately missing someone, tend to overcommunicate. They send messages, seek explanations, try to convince, beg for closure. But these actions reveal a mindset of dependence, a wound that screams, "I need you," which ironically pushes the partner further away because deep down, the unconscious dislikes vulnerability in its raw form. Instead, Jung teaches us that silence is a strategy, a form of emotional power. When you choose to pause, to stop reaching out, to stop explaining or validating, you send a profound message. I am complete within myself. That's power. Because silence, properly understood, becomes a space where the unconscious of the other begins to hallucinate and fill in the gaps. Let me give you an example. There was a woman who, after a breakup, didn't retaliate or seek closure. She simply blocked him on social media, stopped replying to his messages, and shifted her focus entirely to her goals, her passions, her growth. No accusations, no dramatic confrontations, just pure silence. 2 months later, he reached out, faintly, apologetic, saying he dreamed about her every night. That was no coincidence. That was the power of withholding her energy, of withdrawing her presence, creating a void so intense that his subconscious flooded with longing. You see, silence is not weakness. It's a charged act of influence. It's an active decision to prioritize your growth and revisit your internal strength. When you no longer feed the fire of dependency, the fire inside you diminishes, and what's left is an energy of completeness, a magnetism that whispers, "I'm enough." And the unconscious, both yours and his, begins to respond accordingly. Now, this isn't a matter of playing games or manipulating. It's about the conscious choice to heal, grow, and refuse to be controlled by the need for external validation. Because, as Jung pointed out, our shadow contains unresolved desires and fears, and when we project these onto our relationships, we create patterns of codependency and suffering. The antidote is inner independence, a state rooted in self-knowledge and emotional maturity. When you master this internal space, you create an emotional environment that makes your partner feel something they never tasted before. The fear of losing someone whole and unshakable, that's where the magic begins. Because if he perceives you as someone who is utterly complete, who does not chase or beg, he will feel compelled to pursue, even if he's currently with someone else. This leads us to another essential instrument of this transformation, the art of reverse psychology through emotional detachment. Now, I know what some of you might think. Isn't this manipulative? The truth is, it's not. It's the natural consequence of emotional growth. It's about facing the truth. When you stop giving your energy away, you regain your power, and here's the key. Withdraw your attention, but keep your energy focused inward. For example, stop chasing after explanations, stop constantly messaging, stop obsessing over his stories or social media. Instead, channel that energy into your passions, your self-improvement, your purpose. Because the moment you detach from the emotional roller coaster, you shift paradigms. You stop being predictable, which triggers a primal instinct in him, an unconscious desire to pursue what is no longer easily accessible. This is called influence, not manipulation. Jungian psychology recognizes that the unconscious reacts strongly to contrast and scarcity. When you are always available, you become part of the background, an ordinary. When you disappear, your presence becomes irresistible. Think about it. What we take for granted is often what's most lacking, and vice versa. So, what happens? When your energy shifts from desperation to inner calm, your aura transforms into something rare and compelling. The archetype of the mystery woman arises. The one who's not easily defined or understood because she's no longer driven by neediness. Instead, she embodies emotional independence, a state Jung believed is essential for genuine attraction. But don't mistake this for coldness or indifference. This is self-possession. It's an act of self-love, a reclaiming of autonomy that naturally makes others want to pursue you. When you stop responding impulsively, refuse to chase, and stop explaining yourself, your partner's unconscious begins to fill in the gaps. His mind creates fantasies, stories, or regrets because the unconscious loves to fill voids. Now, let's talk about another powerful concept, emotional scarcity. Contrary to what most believe, in love, what is abundant loses value. What is scarce becomes irresistible. Think about the most desirable items or people. They're often those that are hard to reach, not easily available. When you constantly validate your partner, when you're always there, you diminish your own worth in his eyes. But when you intentionally become scarce, when you withdraw your attention and energy, his mind begins to question, what am I losing? Why isn't she here anymore? Here, Jung's concept of complexes becomes relevant. When we feel taken for granted, we cling even more. But the true power lies in not reacting to this old pattern. Instead, be the woman who chooses her own growth over validation. When you focus on improving yourself, in your body, mind, or soul, you're not just changing externally. You're rewiring your entire emotional code. This process creates a new energy, a vibration so strong that no external circumstances, no other woman or new relationship can diminish it. And what about the switch that makes him feel this? The unconscious loves what it cannot have easily. When you're constantly available, you become part of his routine, a default option. But when you disappear, when your presence becomes a rare treasure, his mind begins to chase the mysterious, the unpredictable. This is the psychological effect of scarcity, and it's rooted in ancient survival instincts, an unconscious drive to pursue what feels most elusive. To sum it up, internal independence, silent power, emotional scarcity, these are the pillars of a transformation that can make a man beg for your return. This isn't about using tricks or superficial tactics, but about integrating your shadow, reclaiming your sovereignty, and shaping your internal world. And I want you to remember, this process isn't about faking coldness or playing clever games. It's about becoming a woman who is whole, authentic, and untouchable in her strength. Because, as Jung emphasized, the real magic happens when we integrate all parts of ourselves, our light and shadow, and stand in that truth. Are you ready to take this step? To harness the invisible power of silence, independence, and personal growth, knowing that this will make him feel your absence, and with that, ignite the irresistible desire to come back? Now that you understand the deep psychological roots of attraction, influence, and transformation rooted in Carl Jung's teachings, it's time to turn this knowledge into action. Because the ultimate goal isn't just to make him miss you temporarily. It's to awaken a profound internal shift that redefines the entire dynamic of your relationship, making him beg to return, even from the shadows of another woman. Let me be clear. These aren't tricks or superficial tactics. They are processes of inner growth, self-awareness, and conscious choice. When you commit to them wholeheartedly, they become natural expressions of your true power. Step 1. Deep self-reflection and shadow integration. The first and most crucial step is facing your shadow. Ask yourself, which parts of me am I avoiding? What fears, insecurities, or past wounds am I still carrying? Jung emphasized that unacknowledged shadows project themselves onto relationships, creating cycles of dependence or rejection. Create space for honest self-reflection. Journaling is a powerful tool. Write about your deepest fears of abandonment, feelings of unworthiness, or habits of self-sabotage. Recognize where you tend to seek external validation and why. Recognizing these patterns isn't to judge yourself, but to bring light into unconscious areas. Once you identify these shadow aspects, consciously work to accept and integrate them. For example, if you fear abandonment, practice self-soothing, develop a stronger sense of inner security, and distance yourself emotionally from needing him to validate you. This process will gradually shift your entire energy. Step 2. Cultivate inner wholeness. Next, focus on your personal growth and wholeness. Cultivate hobbies, passions, and goals that excite you independently of your relationship. Engage in activities that fill your soul, whether it's a new career, creative pursuit, or fitness journey. According to Jung, wholeness isn't about perfection, but about embracing all parts of yourself, your strengths, vulnerabilities, light, and shadows. The more you develop this internal richness, the less you depend on external validation. Your energy becomes radiant and attractive because it's grounded in authenticity, not neediness. Step 3. Practice silent power and emotional detachment. Implement strategic silence as a daily practice. When you feel the urge to reach out, reply, or seek validation, pause. Take a long breath, reconnect with yourself, and choose to focus on your self-improvement instead. Remember, silence is active. It's a powerful act of self-respect and psychological influence. Let your silence speak for you. Be unavailable emotionally, not out of anger, but out of strength. When he reaches out first, be calm, composed, and measured. Do not rush to explain or justify yourself. Simply respond when you feel aligned, and otherwise hold space for your own growth. Step 4. Embody emotional scarcity. In a healthy way, scarcity isn't about playing hard to get. It's about being genuinely centered in yourself. Limit your availability. Don't make your life revolve around waiting for his message. Prioritize your goals, friendships, passions, and self-care. Set boundaries on your emotional energy. Don't let it be spilled on endless worry or reactions. When you project calm, confidence, and independence, you're broadcasting a frequency that naturally attracts him and triggers his primal instincts, the desire to pursue what's just out of reach. It's about being a woman who's too valuable to chase because she already knows her worth. Step 5. Use the principle of emotional reinvention. Reinvention is the secret to transcending your current limitations. Rebuild your identity, not just on the surface, but from deep within. This means working on your mindset, healing old wounds, and upgrading your emotional programming. Jung spoke about the process of individuation, becoming the fullest version of yourself. When you do this inner work, your external reality transforms. Your posture, gaze, and energy shift without even speaking a word. Men, consciously or unconsciously, become drawn to this new version of you because it embodies wholeness and higher self-awareness. Step 6. Create emotional scarcity through your absence. This is the most critical part, making your absence a catalyst for his desire. When you go quiet, stop texting, and detach emotionally, you evoke the human unconscious's aversion to loss and the primal craving for what's difficult to possess. If he's used to you always being available, suddenly being completely absent sends him a strong subconscious message. You're irreplaceable because you're no longer predictable or routine. This creates a sense of mystery and urgency, triggering his instincts to pursue. Remember, this isn't about coldness or manipulation. It's about choosing your internal peace over external validation. It's about valuing yourself enough to pull back and let him feel the void. Step 7. Practice gratitude and self-love. Daily, the more you acknowledge your progress, the faster you'll see results. Every time you choose yourself, whether through quiet reflection, pursuing passions, or setting boundaries, appreciate that decision. Cultivate gratitude for your growth, for your strength, and for the process. Self-love is not superficial. It's rooted in acceptance of all your aspects, the shadows, the imperfections, and the divine beauty of your authentic self. When you love yourself unconditionally, you become magnetic. Step 8. Trust the process and stay consistent. Transformation doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process of inner consistency, renewing your mindset, maintaining your boundaries, and cultivating your independence. Trust that your genuine inner work creates an unstoppable energy that will draw him back, not through clever tactics, but through the natural magnetic force of wholeness. Remember Jung's words: "Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens." Your awakening is what will make him beg to return. Now I want you to hold this truth. The greatest power you have is within you. The moment you decide to work on yourself, to integrate your shadows, and to embody calm, confidence, and independence, you start rewiring the entire dynamic. And that's what makes him beg for your return. Because you've become someone entirely new, rooted in self-awareness and spiritual strength. So today, make a pact with yourself. Commit to your inner transformation. Take small, consistent steps, journal, meditate, pursue your passions, set boundaries, and embrace silence. Trust that the universe responds to your inner state, not to your pleas or reactions. Remember, the woman who stops chasing starts commanding, and most importantly, she becomes unforgettable, not through tricks, but through authentic inner power. Are you ready to begin this journey? To reclaim your true self and awaken his desire from within? Because once you do, he won't just want you, he will beg you to come back.